Hello students, in this video lesson we will continue the revision of our 6th chapter, that is life processes. Today we will cover the in-text questions which are on page number 105. The first question is, what advantage over an aquatic organism does a terrestrial organism have with regard to obtaining oxygen for respiration? Now we all know that terrestrial organisms breathe by using atmospheric oxygen, whereas aquatic organisms take oxygen dissolved in water. The oxygen level is high in the atmosphere when compared to the oxygen level in water. So it is easy for the terrestrial organisms to get the required amount of oxygen. They do not need to breathe at a faster rate, whereas aquatic organisms need to breathe faster to get the required oxygen. The next question on the same page number is, what are the different ways in which glucose is oxidized to provide energy in various organisms? We have studied this earlier also. In the cytoplasm, glucose is first broken down into a compound which has 3 carbon atoms. This compound is known as pyruvate, and this process is known as glycolysis. Further, the breakdown takes place in different organisms by different processes. Like in yeast, the reaction takes place in the cytoplasm itself. The glucose is first converted into pyruvate, and then in the absence of oxygen, pyruvate further divides to form ethanol, carbon dioxide and energy, where energy is only round about 2 to 4 ATP molecules. In muscle cells, the glucose again is converted into pyruvate in the cytoplasm, and in the cytoplasm itself, because of the lack of oxygen, it will divide to form lactic acid and energy. Here also energy will be in very less amount, 2 to 4 ATP molecules. Whereas in mitochondria, the glucose will first divide to pyruvate molecules in the cytoplasm, and then the pyruvate molecules will further divide in the presence of oxygen in mitochondria to form carbon dioxide, water and lots of amount of energy, round about 36 to 38 ATP molecules. The next question on the same page number is, how is oxygen and carbon dioxide transported in human beings? We all know that human beings belong to the larger organisms, so diffusion is not enough for the transfer of gases like oxygen and carbon dioxide. So oxygen and carbon dioxide is transported in human beings by the bloodstream. The oxygen is carried towards the cell, whereas carbon dioxide is carried away from the cells. Children, we have also studied that the site of gaseous exchange in our body is in the lungs. These sites are known as alveoli. The exchange of gases takes place between the alveoli of lungs and the surrounding blood capillaries. Oxygen is absorbed by the blood capillaries from the lung alveoli by diffusion, while carbon dioxide is absorbed by the lung alveoli from blood capillaries again by diffusion. The last question of this exercise is, how are the lungs designed in human beings to maximize the area for exchange of gases? We have studied this also in detail. The lungs are an important part of the body. The passage inside the lungs divides into smaller and smaller tubes, which finally terminate in balloon-like structures called alveoli. The alveoli provide a surface where the exchange of gases can take place. The walls of the alveoli usually contains an extensive network of blood vessels. When we breathe in, we lift our ribs, flatten our diaphragm, and the chest cavity becomes larger. Because of this action, air is sucked into the lungs and fills the expanded alveoli. From here, the oxygen is transferred to the blood capillaries, and from the blood capillaries, it is transported to different parts of the body where this oxygen gets used up and carbon dioxide is formed. The blood brings the essential carbon dioxide from the rest of the body and supplies it to the alveoli. Now, during the normal breathing cycle, when air is taken in and let out, the lungs always contain some extra volume of air so that there is sufficient time for oxygen to be absorbed and carbon dioxide to be released. Now, all these 4 questions are very important from the examination point of view. So, go through these questions and answers thoroughly. We will cover the rest of the question answers in the next video lesson.